In the morning, we rode eastwards to Lundain, for in Lundain all roads start. It was the year 878. I was 21 years old and believed my swords could win me the world. I was Uhtred of Bebbanburg, the man who had killed Ubba Lothbrokson beside the sea, and who had spilled Svein of the White Horse from his saddle at Ethandun. I was the man who had given Alfred his kingdom back, and I hated him, so I would leave him. My path was the sword path, and it would take me home. I would go north. Lundain is the greatest city in all of Britain, and I love its ruined houses and feverish alleys, but Hild and I stayed there only 2 days, lodging in a Saxon tavern in the new town west of the decaying Roman walls. The place was part of Mercia then, and garrisoned by the Danes. The alehouses were full of traders and shipmasters, and it was a merchant called Thorkild who offered us passage to Northumbria. I told him my name was Ragnarsson, and he gave us passage in return for 2 silver coins and my muscle on one of his oars. I was a Saxon, but I had been raised by the Danes, so I spoke their tongue, and Thorkild assumed I was Danish. He must have suspected I was a fugitive from Guthrum's defeated army, but he needed oarsmen. We left on the ebb tide, our hull filled with bolts of linen, oil from Francia, beaver pelts, fine saddles and leather sacks filled with precious cumin and mustard. We stopped every night, finding some place to tie up, and as we rode we saw a dozen other ships travelling northwards, Danish warships, fugitives from Guthrum's defeated army, going wherever there was easier plunder than Alfred's Wessex. Thorkild was a tall, lugubrious man who plaited his greying hair so it hung in long ropes to his waist. "Does Riksig still rule in Eoforwic?" I asked. He shook his head. "There's a Saxon called Egbert on the throne now." "So who really rules in Northumbria?" "We do, of course," he said, meaning the Danes. The Danes often put a tamed Saxon on the thrones of the countries they captured, and Egbert was just such a leashed monarch. The real ruler was Earl Ivar, the Dane, who owned most of the land about the city. "He's Ivar Ivarsson," Thorkild told me with a touch of pride. "His father was Ivar Lothbrokson." I knew Ivar Lothbrokson. It was true. Ivar Lothbrokson had been a fearsome warlord, savage and ghastly, but he had been a friend to Earl Ragnar who raised me. His brother had been Ubba, the man I killed by the sea. "Ivar is the real power in Northumbria," Thorkild told me, "but not in the valley of the river Weir. Kjartan rules there." Thorkild touched his hammer amulet. "He's called Kjartan the Cruel, and his son is worse." "Sven," I said. Kjartan and Sven were my enemies. "Sven the One-Eyed," Thorkild said with a grimace, and again touched his amulet to fend off the evil of the names he had just spoken. "And north of them, the ruler is Aelfric of Bebbanburg." I knew him too. Aelfric was my uncle and thief of my land, but I pretended not to know the name. "Aelfric?" I asked. "Another Saxon?" "A Saxon," Thorkild confirmed, "but his fortress is too powerful for us." "A friend of the Danes?" "He's no enemy," he said. "Those are the 3 great lords, Ivar, Kjartan, and Aelfric, while beyond the hills in Cumbraland, no one knows what happens there." He meant the west coast of Northumbria, which faced the Irish Sea. "There was a great Danish lord in Cumbraland," he went on. "Hardiknut, he was called, but I hear he was killed." So that was Northumbria, a kingdom of rival lords, none of whom had cause to love me, and 2 of whom wanted me dead. Yet it was home, and I had a duty there, and that is why I was following the sword path. It was the duty of the blood feud that had started 5 years before, when Kjartan and his men had come in the night and burned Earl Ragnar's hall and murdered the folk who tried to flee the flames. Ragnar had raised me. I loved him like a father, and his murder was unavenged. He had a son, also called Ragnar, and he was my friend, but Ragnar the younger could not take vengeance, for he was a hostage in Wessex. So I would kill Kjartan and his son, Sven the One-Eyed, who had taken Ragnar's